Guys, so this Wednesday is extremely important for the U.S. economy because we will be getting the CPI numbers, and this number that we're going to be getting is probably the most important number we've received in a very long time, bro. And as you guys know, this number is going to impact real estate, stock market, crypto market, job market, and even the car market. So there's a lot at stake, and we need to pay very close attention, and that's what we're going to talk about. So, bro, let's just get into it, bro. What do we want to talk about first?
Yeah, I actually kind of want to get into real estate first because people don't really realize the implications of this CPI number right here, because depending on what they say is going to depend on what the Federal Reserve does. What the Federal Reserve does is what's going to be dependent on what happens in our housing market. But the housing market leads into everything else. Like, the housing market is the biggest sector to pay attention to because it affects everything else.
That's a fact. Yeah, I'm about to share my screen, but real quick for you guys to know, like, we've talked about this before as well, but the reason why this time it's more important is because we already know there's going to be one interest rate hike, right? Like, I think, Rel, you and I are on the same page on that based on expectations and forecast?
Yeah, everybody know they're going to raise it in July.
Exactly. But based on what happens this time around with the CPI, they might say, yo, we need to be aggressive. We might have to raise it again after July and then another time after that. So it's going to be very key, but let's just share something really quick for you guys and show you why it's so important. So when you think about it, Rel just kind of said it to you guys. When the Fed comes around and increases interest rates, it's going to obviously impact other sectors. One of them being real estate. So as you can see, the 30-year fixed rate for this is the current rate as of July, right? It is 7.37%. 7.37%. And this is assuming you have good credit. This is assuming you're in that 700, 719 range. So, Rel, like, let me talk about back in the day, man, the 2020, back in 2021. What were the interest rates like, bro?
People really out here holding 2 and 3% interest rates on their house.
Exactly. And what was that doing to the market?
Right. That's why everything skyrocketed. That's what led into this massive inflation that we have and everything.
Exactly, guys. So when you guys think about it, it's like, if we see another, we know we're getting one, so this rate's probably going to go up. But then we see another 2 after that, it could be a big deal, which is why we need the CPI numbers to be at least normal. We don't need them to be great, but we need them to be normal. And to show you guys how important it is to actually capitalize on low interest rates, Rel actually found this tweet, and this is essentially showing you guys, in 2021, a $700,000 home financed with a 3% interest rate is the same price per month as a $450,000 home with a 7% interest rate. That blew my mind personally.
Yeah, that's OD. That's really crazy. You're basically paying double the price for the house, but the same mortgage payment.
Mm-hmm. And the house is probably small, and that's why when you think about it, it's like, yo, back then when people were buying these cribs, that's why they were buying them. That's why the price was going crazy, because they're like, I know if I buy an $800,000 crib and I capitalize on a 2% payment, yo, it's up and it's stuck. Like, I don't have to worry about it. And a lot of people were actually going through credit unions to actually get these rates, not even just straight up banks, because credit unions were giving them better rates than 3%. So that's why this is going to be huge for real estate markets. I know me and you were tuned in. Hopefully y'all are tuned in as well. If you're still watching, just do us a quick favor and like this video, plus subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 1,000, so continue to help us out. It'll be huge for us. But now let's talk about job market, bro. How do you think this impacts the job market?
Yeah, so man, looking at the job market, I'm a little worried. We already saw that the job numbers were decreasing at the last report. And if they're going to continue to raise interest rates, that's going to put a lot more pressure on these companies to maintain a bottom line. So that might lead into just even more job cuts. And it definitely makes me nervous, because that kind of points towards a recessionary behavior from the economy, which is ultimately what Jerome Powell is looking to do. Even though he won't admit that, he definitely is trying to slow down the economy. And so, man, we've already had a ridiculous amount of rate hikes, historic, to add potentially 2 more, maybe even 3, that could be destructive for unemployment. We're talking about probably 1 million jobs or more of people laid off.
That's a fact. And speaking of that, look at this when this came out, July 10th, bro, on Monday. It's not too far off. It says Microsoft confirms more job cuts on top of the 10,000 they laid off back in January. And why this is so important is literally to retweet at what Rel just said to you guys, which is, yo, if interest rates go up, businesses have to maintain margin, right? They have to. That's how they make money. So they already did layoffs back last year in Q4, and then again in Q1 and to Q2 of this year, which is why you see the stock market performing, because then certain businesses are still staying afloat. Not even staying afloat, they're actually performing really well. But that's because they already did the layoffs. Their margins are okay. If you get 2 more interest rate hikes on top of this, and it's more expensive to borrow money, how do you expect to maintain those margins? You're gonna have to cut people. On top of the AI news, it makes it even worse. That's another thing when you think about.
You read in my mind, like that's literally what I was about to say. I was about to say, what worries me is the AI integration these companies have to where people are getting laid off now, but unlike other time periods in history, it's not like they're going to get a surge of jobs entering the market again once, you know, things open back up, because potentially that might be the last time they have that position, because they're going to be replaced with AI for certain companies and for certain sectors. So when people get laid off this time as opposed to other potential recessions, then it's like, yo, you might never get your job back.
Oh, speaking of that, it's really hard right now to get people to get jobs right now. And people who are looking, I know y'all are struggling right now because, one, it's not about getting a job. You guys have expenses to maintain, because think about it. Interest rates are higher. Student loan payments are coming back. You guys have to pay your mortgages or your rent. That's only going up, especially in states like New York. So you have to actually get a job that makes sense for you. You can't take too much of a pay cut. But companies are in control, not the actual people looking for jobs now. We have to keep that in mind. So now you're getting actually underpaid. The job market is not that hot right now. And I know that because people are looking. I'm friends with these people, and they're not finding whatever they want. This is actually showing you tech workers known to be laid off since January 2023. If you notice the trend, it was basically coming down. Rel, if I ask you a question, hasn't inflation been coming down, bro, this whole time?
Yeah, of course.
So I would say it's kind of a correlation. So if inflation, if CPI numbers come out and they're not great, it's going to increase interest rates. We're back at it again.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I need this to actually come back pretty well, because I hope we're able to survive. But let's talk about, which one you want to talk about now? You want to talk about cars? You want to talk about stocks? What do you want to do?
Kind of going to the car market. Like, what have you been seeing out there? I know that you have your car business and everything.
Yeah, so you guys are gonna be surprised right now. Actually, I'm gonna make you guess. I don't even know if you know this one. So I just closed on a couple of cars, right? Think about the interest rate I got offered when I was trying to close out one of my cars. We actually tried to stretch it out to 84 months, and the car was below 20. So just think about the interest rate I got offered.
I don't know what you're thinking, like 10%.
You would think, right? Like 10%, and that's wild high. Like 10% is still high. Try 16, bro. 16%. I might as well go get a car on a credit card at that point.
For real.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why this is very important, guys, because we're seeing people right now, especially in the field I'm in, people are buying cars at 16% interest rate. They have no choice. The finance manager is out here telling me, yo, I just bought this car, SUV, fully decked out. It has all the bells and whistles you could possibly ask for. Bro, he's a finance manager. That means, AKA, he's able to finesse anything he wants because he's the one controlling all the pieces in the puzzle. Bro had to finance an 84-month for 12%. Mind you, he actually has a good interest rate. He's not going through a business. He's going through a personal. So that's impacting him, and he's coming back and refinancing now because you have to refinance. That's what he's hoping for. But imagine you can't refinance for 2 years because no one said the rates are coming down. They might just go up again, and they might stay stagnant next year. No one said they're coming down. No one said they have to come down. So car market is also struggling. So it's not the best in real estate. We're kind of scared about jobs, and cars are not doing too hot either. So now let's go on to the stock market and crypto. So what do you think is going to happen there?
When it comes to the stock market, it's kind of tough to say because these companies their earnings have been solid despite this high interest rate environment. Now, 2 more hikes, if we were to get that, even 1 more hike, we'll see how it impacts these companies. It has to start putting pressure on them, don't get me wrong. But then again, one can say that these things have been priced in, and we're already kind of performing better than what was priced in, hence why the market has been running up. Because I think they thought it would be destruction, just horrible stock, like a horrible earnings basically based on the rate hikes that we've had thus far. but earnings have been much better than expected. That's why we've been running. So we're already ahead of the curve. We're already performing better than they ever thought we would. So I don't know. Stock market is kind of tough to say. I don't think it's. I still think we're gonna remain bullish overall. Personally, I don't think we're coming down. Nothing too drastic.
Okay, and you think crypto market stays the same?
Yeah, I think crypto goes in a run regardless.
Okay. So honestly, right now, I think that based on what we see, based on the interest rates that we know we're getting 1. We already said this multiple times. We might get 2. We might get 3. If we get to that point where we're getting 2 to 3, I see some type of pullback. I'm not saying there's going to be a crazy pullback where we're like 25% down, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a 10 to 15% pullback because these companies did run up a lot. Just to cool down a little bit and come down, it wouldn't shock me. But that's why, like, notice how we are not on the same page necessarily. And that's because there still is uncertainty, which is why this news is extremely important because we need to know the direction we're headed in. And that's exactly why you guys need to be staying up to date with everything. That's what I got right now.
Yeah, not for a fact. And it could be pullbacks, but I do think we still end the year like highly positive. Like I think we'll look back like, this is a really good year in the market overall.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so because I know I've been DCAing, so hopefully y'all have been doing that too. But if you're still watching, if you like this type of episode, thank you. We appreciate you. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button right now because we need to hit that 1K and only go up from there. But also hit that little notification bell because we drop
2 videos a week.
You don't want to miss them. Check us out on Monday. Until then, peace.
Peace.
Soundstripe.